Hey guys, it's Blockchain Brad, and today we have a very, very special guest. His name is Shenbi Xu, and he is the co-founder of Zeepin. And we are very lucky because he's also the Chief Strategy Officer of the company. He's had 18 years of experience in multinational companies. He is the main designer of Z Rights and business procedures. He has also served as the Asia Pacific head of the GE Infrastructure Center. So thank you so much, Shenbi. We are honored to have you on the channel.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Brad.
Very welcome. Mate, we know that Zeepin is actually going to be one of the key dApps that are coming out of NEO at the moment. And having read the white paper, it's clear that it's a very, very interesting concept with creative new economies. Can you tell us more about that, Shenbi?
Oh, sure. Actually, Zeepin is committed to becoming, the world's leading blockchain-based innovation, transaction, and investment platform for the global creative, global creative industry. So, as a decentralized sharing new economy community, that will also help, the designers or the organizations, individuals, to improve the innovation efficiency. Okay. So in short, we will just help the innovators to change the world easily.
It sounds amazing. And given the scope of your project, so Shenbi, can you please tell us a little bit more about what the creative new economy is? Because that's the premise for your entire ecosystem that's about to be launched on the NEO platform.
Yeah, so actually, the creative, the cultural and creative new economy is actually very huge. Actually, the latest report on the cultural and creative industry released by the United Nations shows that the output of the global cultural and creative industry stands at 2.25 trillion US dollar.
So let's just double check that. Sorry to interrupt, but that's significant because you didn't say billions then, you said trillions.
Oh, sorry, yeah, 2.25 trillion. Did I say trillion or billion? Trillion, right?
No, I wanted to clarify for the audience because that's a very large number. You know, that's a significant thing for a market. That's why I'm re-emphasizing that's exciting for your company.
Yeah, it is not. It is actually surpassed the output of the global telecommunication industry, which is only, as I know, is 1.57 trillion.
Wow.
You can imagine the global telecommunication industry, right? And also India's GDP, like 1.9 trillion. So the whole cultural and creative industry is bigger than in India GDP. Yeah. So of course you can imagine like the publish, the fashion, the design, etc. Okay.
Absolutely. And Shenbi, how long have you been working on this project? Because obviously I had a look through your team on the white paper, and there's a lot of experience and many years of experience in creative industries. And obviously you have business experience also. So how long have you been working on this project for?
Yeah, actually, we started from 7 to 8 years ago when we founded actually the arting365.com in China.
Okay.
And it has become one of the biggest website for in this cultural and creative industry now. And for Zeepin, we started this project 1.5 years ago.
Right. Okay. So Zeepin itself is a functional website now already. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So it has a real world purpose already in some respects?
I would say we have completed the core function of one of the two of the key DApps. One is we call the Z Rights, and one we call Z Create.
Right.
Yeah, so we will still try to develop more and more DApps for the whole Zeepin ecosystem. Yeah.
That's fantastic, and I've read through, and there's quite a few coming up, and we'll talk about that in the interview about all the different projects planned inside your ecosystem. But I guess one of the things that many of the listeners really want to know is why NEO? Why did you choose NEO as the platform of choice, as the ecosystem of choice in the blockchain space for your company?
Yeah, so because in the last even 10 years when we were doing this in this industry, we found some problems. For example, how to really protect the copyrights for the designers or for the creators. And we also, of course, have other problems that we will introduce later. But I think blockchain is really a good solution to most of those problems.
Right.
And then we met New, and I think New's vision is actually like the digital ID, the digital asset, and the smart contract.
Right.
So these are all exactly what I think Zeepin is, or the team is trying to find, find for many years. Okay.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
was your mindset of using Neo purely from a business perspective because you are a business and you wanted to build it? Is that the reason why you wanted to why you chose the Neo ecosystem?
Yes, I think blockchain is really a very good underlying technology for to solve our problems in the culture and the creative industry. And I think if we add the digital ID, digital asset, and a smart contract with this creative industry, that will be really the best solution for Zeepin. And the smart economy, the concept of smart economy really helps to define the concept of we call the Zeepin. The Zeepin we call is the distributive creative new economy.
Yes.
So our
I thought that was very interesting.
quite matches what we need. Yeah.
Yes, and I'm glad you raised that because when I read the white paper, I thought that your title including the smart economy, was interesting because Neo also do that. So they work very well together. Let's talk more about your company. Just in terms of the projects that you have coming up, I noticed you have about 9 projects planned in your roadmap between now and the end of 2019. That's a significant number of projects. How are you going with those projects, and can you talk more about those dApps?
Okay. Yeah. Let me just give a maybe brief introduction of these DApps. For Zeepin, we hope that we can just finally become a real ecosystem instead of just one DApp, because we don't think one DApp can solve all the issues for the current industry. Okay. So first of all, I think the basic function is to help designers, the creators, innovators to protect the copyrights.
Right.
So so this is why we first developed the DApp of Z rights.
And
Okay.
you personally have had a lot of involvement in that Z rights component, I noticed.
Yes, actually, yeah, we made it by the team, and we also designed the procedure, discussed the procedure for a long time, based on our experience in the last 10 years. This is I think one of the fundamental DApp in this family. Okay.
I think so too. And just on that note, you'll be the perfect person to answer this, given that you are an expert on Z rights, and you understand, no doubt, the relationship between Neo, on-chain, and ontology. Ontology is the ecosystem of trust. It's a network of trust. So, in relation to your knowledge with Z rights, can you see the benefit of ontology also in the ecosystem, and in providing that trust mechanism for you? Can you see that connection?
Yes, I can. Connect. Yeah, okay. So for blockchain, first, it's a basic function is to actually we can store the hash of the innovative resources on the blockchain.
Right.
Okay, this is quite fundamental. And basically, we are also discussing that there will be an ontology. Okay,
Yes.
so that will help us to really how to say
To
have to
interact. You'll
help.
be able to interact and you'll be able to exchange distributed data. It's quite an
Yeah.
exciting platform because it's not a blockchain. So it really provides for a service for something like your blockchain ecosystem.
Yes, yes, and also will help to have a really reliable digital ID,
Yes.
etc. Okay,
Yes.
and um, and then of course we will also have a distributive, nodes for the Zeepin chain.
Okay.
Okay,
That's
which is
interesting.
supported by on-chain, and this is really help us to store the data distributively,
Yes, and I'm
right?
so glad you talked about that and clarified that because you really are using the Neo network, not just solely Neo. And that's an exciting thing because really Neo is becoming a very robust system in itself. And as you know, I'm a huge supporter of the Neo system. And that's also why I support applications like yours because not only is it that Neo is a great system for business, but your system is potentially going to be a world leader done correctly for your industry, for the creative industry.
Yeah,
There are not many companies doing what you're doing, so it's very exciting. Um,
yeah.
Shenbi, let's talk about your token structure.
Okay, yeah. So I think the total amount of Zeepin token will be 1 billion.
Okay.
Okay. And then in order to, I think we have designed some important functions for ZPT, like uh, try to establish a consistent community incentive mechanism to reward the contributors in order to encourage those behaviors that are good for the development of Zeepin community.
Yes,
And of
I
course,
was that the bounty
yeah,
program that you outlined in your white paper. It was the
yeah,
bounty system.
yeah, during ICO, yes, we have the bounty campaign or bounty program. But even after we launched this Zeepin, the DAPPs, so we will
Right.
also try to keep reward the contributors for the Zeepin community.
That's
And
fantastic.
number two, I would say we also designed some functions that we need the ZPT to, we need to pay the ZPTs,
Right.
for some of the functions.
Sure.
Like if you really want to store how to say the IPFS, the copyright source code on the blockchain, which is really really large, really large. And sometimes if you need register a team organization name, you may need to pay a little bit
Right.
ZPT,
So
etc. etc. We'll design more. So if we have more and more people who join this community, then I think the demand to ZPT will also increase quickly.
absolutely. And
Okay.
let's talk about that a moment. Obviously, you're
Yeah.
based in Shanghai, the
Yeah.
the, the township of Hongfei-Da, of course. So
Okay.
at the moment, you would be quite well known in that region, I would assume, or you're becoming more known in Shanghai. Let's talk
Mhm.
about the West. So,
Okay.
the wider global space. How are you positioned at the moment in that domain, and how important is it for information to get out to the West via streams like this?
You mean the creative industry or
You, as Zeepin, how are you positioned at the moment? Are you primarily based in China and known in China, or are you starting
Mhm.
to get your name built out in the global space at the moment?
Yeah, of course. I think with the support of the new community and also the on-chain team, we will of course try to develop more and more DAPPs.
Yes.
And I think most of how to say we have actually already accumulated many the designers by Artin 365 before.
Right.
Not only China, not only in China. We are not start from zero,
Right.
and with the support of new, we will be able to even how to say have a better worldwide
Network.
vision.
That's
network,
fantastic.
yeah,
And have
of
you,
this project. Yes.
and Shenbi, on that note, have you had any interest already from other international parties to utilize your service and your blockchain system? Have you started to generate some interest for?
Yeah, because yeah, for iTeams365.com, yes, but for the Zeepin, we just finished the core function development. But during the testing, we have invited some the designers from other countries.
Wow.
Yeah, because I believe the process are quite the same either in China or in the other countries.
Yes.
Yeah, but still we need to try to see if we need really make it to better fit for the global community.
And I
Yeah,
think you're doing a great job.
we will keep optimizing this all the processes.
That's
And then we'll
fantastic.
invite more users from around the world. Yes.
Shenbi, that's really exciting. And again, I just want to reinforce what I really
Mm-hmm.
like about your company is that you have a premise in the real world now through your website that you've mentioned. That is really important to an investor who's thinking about something like Zeepin because
Yeah, exactly.
they can see it's already existent in some way. It's not just a concept that's that's being floated on a market. So it's that. Thank you for making that really clear. Let's talk about your team. Your team is comprised of some very interesting people. You've got Zhu Fei, Glover Gu, Jason Yu, Zhang Ying, and many others. And I read through their experience collectively, and that's up to 20 years of experience. So let's talk about that team. Let's talk about what they bring to Zeepin.
Yeah. So yeah, let me just briefly introduce team members. Okay. So Zhu Fei is actually our co-founder and also the CEO of Zeepin. He was, I think, also the former CEO of iTeams365.
Right.
So he has, I think, about 15 years of experience in the creative industry.
Okay.
And he is also director of Shanghai Industry Design Association and awarded as the top 20 young creative talents in Shanghai.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
so
significant.
He has a lot of interesting network in the creative industry.
Right.
And also we have Glover Gu, who is our Chief Operating Officer. So she graduated from the China Academy of Art.
Right.
So for most of the big events done by the iTeams365 were actually operated by her.
That's amazing. Okay. So I think without going into too much detail of all the teams, it's very clear that you have really focused on the quality of your team and your funding from the system you provided to create a means of really building out your company. Because essentially, this is the thing I wanted to get across as well to the audience. You aren't trying to be a project. You are trying to be a company in the utilizing blockchain. So it's great to hear the credentials are so strong. Really great.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some exciting things. I read through your roadmap. There's so much happening there. We're talking about just in January. You've got London, Dublin, Germany, Amsterdam. So what's your reasoning for traveling the globe and doing that? What's the message you're sending when you go to these functions?
Yes. Well, I think we found that it's not easy. It's not easy to really understand Zeepin as an ecosystem.
Right. And also, there would be business representatives in these places as well who are considering utilizing your service, I'd imagine. Is that something you focus on?
Yes, exactly. And by the way, that we are going to start our ICO in the next month.
Right.
So we hope that if any investors may have interested in this project, so we will try to let them know what what our plan is and how we will develop in the future.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's happening in January. Is that the January the 18th? I did write that down. It's for about a week or 2 weeks. Can you just clarify when that period for the public sale?
So the pre-sale will start from January 18th. Okay, and the sale will last for 12 days. So
Okay.
means from January 18th to January 27th.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So
that's on your website as well, isn't it?
yes, you can log on to our website for more details.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the things outlined in your white paper with regard to it explains some of the challenges that Zeepin are facing in terms of the creative industry. So what are the things that you're trying to fix and you address in what your company stands for?
Okay. Yeah, actually, there are many problems. Okay. So number one is, of course, the copyright protection,
Okay.
which is difficult in the current creative market. But if we use Zeepin blockchain, the cost will be close to zero.
Wow.
Right? Yeah, you can just upload the how to say the digital assets, like a
Right.
digital asset.
Right.
And then we have the app we call it Z rights I just introduced. Then we have the copyright pro.
Okay.
And then we will just store the hashes on the blockchain, and then you can download the Zeepin, I would say Zeepin copyright certificate.
Okay.
And then print it. Okay, that will be very, very easy.
Okay.
Compared to the current centralized way to protect your copyright.
And
okay, number two. Yeah,
okay,
sorry.
I was just going to ask you, just in terms of that as well, for someone as a user, say for example, we're talking about the end user who's going to use your service. From my understanding, they should be able to benefit much more by utilizing Zeepin for themselves. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. I just mentioned actually the protection, but we will also help if we can protect it and we make the whole process very transparent. I mean, a very good traceability. Then people can be much easier to transact their copyright.
Right, and let's talk about money. The monetization aspect is better for the user in this process because you're circumventing those middlemen inside. You don't need them. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes. This is another issue we want to solve. Is actually we try to have one, we will call it a de-intermediated, right? De-intermediated transaction platform.
Right.
And the current centralized transaction way is not good for not good for the lightweight innovation development chain.
Right.
Okay. And number three, I would say the current benefit distribution mechanism is not good.
Right.
Because the lack of trust mechanism.
Yes, that's a very good point, I think. But I can certainly see in your company that it's evolving through all the different aspects of things like Z rights and the Z fund. There's capabilities being built in, getting ready for a much bigger picture. Is that right?
Yes. So one of the big issues is mainly caused also by the untrusted transaction mode, or the opaque kind of transaction mode. So we will try to help the designer team or the creators to find the money much easier, and also the investors can really know what a good project or what a good project team there.
That's fantastic.
We try to use the Z Fund to help interconnect with them, and with a smart contract, usually we can also lock up the ZPT.
Okay.
And so that will be really I think a very, very good application of the the smart contract.
That's interesting that you can do the lockup. Let's talk about the infranet that's mentioned in your white paper. Can you talk a bit about the Zeepin infranet? That was mentioned in the white paper with regard to, again, on-chain, but I just wanted to ask you if you knew anything about that.
Yeah, I think this is actually we call the infrastructure of the Zeepin chain. Okay.
So the overall architecture is the infranet. Is that what it is?
Yeah, Internet is built based on the underlying technology of the, as you know, the DNA project.
Okay, that's clear. Yeah. So let's talk about something that's really important. Let's go to the top layer where you like to talk about with the applications. What's the real utility? You know, if we're talking about it from the lay perspective of someone who wants to use your service, let's just go where they're going to see it at the top layer. Yeah. What will they see?
Yeah, actually for ecosystem, so because we are going to develop multiple DApps, okay, in the future. So first of all, we need to have we call the utilities like the Z-Clue, which will help people to form a global, how to say, the global project team.
Right.
And also recruiting people as their project team members.
Right.
And of course we'll have ZPT as also a utility,
yes.
Right? The Zeepin token. So based on which we will then be able to develop more DApps, like what I say, the Z-Rights, how to say, Z-Crate,
yes.
and Z-Fund.
There's so many. There's a whole list of 9 I noticed in the white paper. So, you know, for anyone who wants to go and check that out, there's, as we were talking about, right up until 2019, there are many Z-like plans in terms of the applications that are coming forth. It was more than I even imagined at first. I thought it was only going to be 6 or so, but you do have 9 outlined in your white paper, which is amazing. So let's talk about things like the dApps in respect to API data interfaces for community developers. So in the white paper, again, it outlines that there will be API data interfaces for community developers. Can you talk about that?
Yes. So we just actually in our roadmap we just listed some of the core applications. Okay. But we believe in future we will need more DApp to really support the whole industry and the whole chain of the industry. So we will need all the community developers to help us, to develop more applications. So you can think it just like a Apple Store, right?
Yes, exactly. I remember reading that in your white paper. Actually, there was
we
mention of that.
Maybe we will not have so many applications, but of course we will. In order to make it ecosystem, we'll need to have more and more DApps in the future. So it will be a really long-term project as for Zeepin. Okay, so we are just make the first step.
That's really interesting.
It will not happen overnight, but I think with more and more people to join us, we believe that we will make Zeepin more successful.
Especially given all the reasons we talked about, and that's important because the criteria for success, 2 of them you have. You have a very experienced team, and you also have a functioning website now. What you really need now is that support from the international communities, and that's the whole premise for blockchain as well. So,
yeah, exactly.
So that's a very exciting beginning, but you already are what we call in English, you have a foot in the door already. So let's talk about your vision. So we talked about the reasoning of what you've done. What do you want to do with Zeepin? If we talk about it, a few years down the track, what do you envisage?
Okay, so so for Zeepin, as I mentioned again, it will be an ecosystem.
Yep.
So we want to be the world's leading blockchain-based. I say the innovation transaction
for the creative industry,
investment platform for this creative industry.
Right.
So it is not easy to really just use one sentence to define the Zeepin.
No.
We can either call it like a copyright office on blockchain,
Right.
because office is a quite a centralized word. I'm sorry. So and a borderless design team globally,
Right.
or a decentralized design interconnection platform,
Right.
or maybe a decentralized Kickstarter.
Right.
Yes, these are all the things we want to do in the future.
And I think you're on the right track.
Yeah, but in short, the vision is very simple. So we help the innovators change the world.
That's exciting, and it's a good slogan to have for your company.
Yeah, this is what we want to do. Yeah.
That's great. So I wanted to talk to you briefly about the credit bounty now, and we talked about that briefly, but there's many people who like the concept of the creative industry because it is very specific, and you're targeting a specific market. How does the credit bounty work? Because it doesn't just relate to the ICO. Who can participate? Is it just developers? Let's talk about that.
Actually, yes, because we will how to say have this community incentive mechanism. We are actually designing this mechanism
right now.
Okay, right now. Not just we have already launched the bounty campaign for ICO.
Yes, you have.
Yeah, but in future we will make it a really long-term incentive mechanism.
So in that sense, contributors, that growth for them and also for you is sustainable through the investment you're making in the credit bounty system. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That you're going to make it not just a short term like we often see, where many of them do the ICO bounties, but you're planning on something much more robust.
Yes. Yeah, it will be a really, I think, a robust mechanism to reward the contributors in our Zeepin community in the long run.
That's a really important thing, I think, particularly in your industry, because that's going to incentivize people to participate more so. Okay, so let's just talk about one more thing, just two more things before you go. The Zeepin Chain Management Committee. I remember reading about that in your white paper, and obviously with my knowledge about NEO, I think of that as something like the NEO Council. Can you talk about that committee and exactly what that's for?
Okay, yeah, so once we finished our ICO, so we will really need a very good team to manage the Zeepin tokens or the funds that we get from the investors.
Okay.
So we will then form a team, including the founders, I would say also some of the community members, and also from our partners, so that we can have a team to really help manage the funds, and also make strategic decisions for the whole community and the project.
I'm really glad we talked about that now, because right from the outset, it's always been important for people to understand the functions of the NEO Council also. Because if you haven't got some sort of managerial role and group that can do that, you don't have a business. You just don't. And so having that support network doesn't mean that you are centralized by nature. You're still decentralized, but you're managing it. And that's the really big point about your committee. It's exciting that you do have that, I think.
Yes.
So it's great. Let's talk about the social media platforms, because I think that's very important. I noticed that you are on Twitter, you're on Telegram, you're on Facebook. You also have a website. Yeah, so if anyone's wanting to know more about it, you can go to those social platforms. Do you have representation in those platforms for the West as well, for people who obviously don't have contacts or knowledge of Chinese? Is it easy to access those platforms for anybody?
Yeah, sure. We published all the links on our official website, and also in the I think on the Reddit and etc. So you can always find a way to join those social media how to say the communication. Yes.
Right. Well, Shenbi, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've learned so much from you just in this short conversation, and I hope we can talk again because I'd
Yeah.
like to talk more as it evolves and as we see Zeepin grow,
Uh-huh.
because it's certainly going to. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I also am very excited that you've chosen Neo as your platform because it is the business platform of the future and it is the asset for the blockchain. Is there
Mm-hmm.
anything else that you want to say before we finish off the interview, Shenbi, for the
Oh
community?
yes, yeah, I'm most very glad to talking to you and all the audiences, and I hope that we will of course have we can discuss how to say introduce in more details about this Zeepin project. So we will have more how to say
Updates?
the updates and also road shows. So please log on to our website for more details.
Sure,
And thank you very much.
and I'll put the links of your website in my descriptions below as well, so people can access it. Shenbi, thank you
Okay.
so much. It's been a privilege to have
Yeah.
you on board, and I know you're very busy, and you're in Japan at the moment. So all the
Uh-huh.
best in the conference as well, and please say hello to Hongfei Da and the team at Neo as well, and we'll talk soon.
Oh, okay. Sure, I will. Sure, I will. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Shenbi.